All right, let's get into it. Today, we're breaking down India's super ambitious 2027 budget. And trust me, this is way more than just a spreadsheet of numbers. It's pretty much a detailed blueprint for how India plans to transform its entire economy. So let's dive right in. So at the very heart of this budget, you'll find this one powerful idea, Viksit Bharat. Now, that translates to developed India. But here's the key part. This isn't just about growth for growth's sake. It's about this balancing act, being ambitious while also making sure everyone, and I mean everyone, gets to come along for the ride.
And to make that happen, the government's laid out this really clear three-part philosophy. It's all about action over ambivalence, reform over rhetoric, and putting people over populism. Basically, it's a signal that they're focused on long-term benefits, not just short-term wins. This is the foundation for everything we're about to look at.
Okay, so let's start with the big picture, right? Before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, what does this vision for a Viksit Bharat actually look like? Well, this vision is being built on what they see as a really stable economic foundation. The goal is to keep growth humming along at about 7%, keep inflation in check, and be really disciplined with spending. The main takeaway here is that this isn't some plan built on wishful thinking. It's grounded in stability, and it's going to be fueled by some serious public investment and a real push for self-reliance.
So with that stable economic base in place, where do you start? Well, that brings us to the first massive pillar of this plan, firing up India's industrial engine. We're talking about a major boost for manufacturing, but for the modern age.
And you know, this whole vision is about creating a modern, high-tech industrial sector. Just picture it, automation, advanced factories, the whole 9 yards. And this budget is specifically designed to pour fuel on that fire.
What's really interesting here is just how targeted this push is. It's not some generic, let's build more factories kind of thing. No, we're seeing really specific strategic moves. You've got the next phase of the India semiconductor mission, a new biopharma program called Shakti. They're even reviving old industrial clusters and have a dedicated plan for making affordable sports gear. It's broad, but it's specific.
Of course, you can't even begin to talk about India's industrial economy without talking about MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. They are the absolute backbone of the whole thing. And this budget makes it super clear that helping them grow isn't just an option, it's essential for real, lasting growth.
So how do you actually help them? Well, the government's rolling out a pretty simple but powerful three-pronged attack. First up, equity support, using new funds to invest directly in these small businesses. Second, liquidity support. This is huge because it tackles cash flow by making sure they get paid faster. And third, professional support, to help them deal with all the complicated rules and regulations without breaking the bank.
And to prove this is for real, they are putting serious money where their mouth is. A new SME growth fund is being set up with 10,000 crore rupees. That's about 1.2 billion US dollars. That is a massive injection of cash aimed squarely at helping these vital smaller businesses get to the next level.
But look, industry is only one piece of the puzzle, right? The second major pillar of this budget really zeroes in on the people who actually drive the economy. This is all about investing in what they're calling people power, especially in the services and agriculture sectors.
This part focuses on two main areas. First, you've got the booming services sector. That's all about tapping into India's incredible talent in tech, tourism, and healthcare. And then second, you have the agriculture sector, with a big plan to modernize this traditional powerhouse to get more value and more productivity out of it.
And this really highlights just how diverse the push in the services sector is. It's about investing in people across the board, from developing world-class medical tourism that brings people in to cementing India's role as a go-to provider for tech services around the globe. So what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, the budget is talking about creating 5 dedicated hubs just for medical tourism, setting up labs for creative content in schools, and get this, offering big tax holidays for cloud data centers based in India. These are really concrete steps to supercharge that whole side of the economy.
And on the agriculture side, the focus is squarely on upping the value. We're seeing new schemes to promote things like coconuts, cashews, and cocoa. Plus, there's support for high-value crops like walnuts and almonds. And it's also about bringing in modern tech, like using AI to analyze agricultural data to boost crop yields and efficiency. It's pretty cool stuff.
Okay, so we've got industry and we've got people. The third and final pillar is all about creating the world where they can both succeed, and that's building for the future. This means huge investments in physical infrastructure and, critically, a big focus on the green energy transition.
Now, to get a sense of the sheer scale of this ambition, just look at this chart. Public capital expenditure, or CapEx, is projected to jump from 2 lakh crore rupees back in 2015 to 12.2 lakh crore in 2027. That is a mind-boggling 6-fold increase in what the government is spending to build the country's future.
So where's all that money going? A huge chunk of it is about physically connecting India. We're talking new freight corridors that stretch from east to west, getting 20 new national waterways up and running, and a major push to build up infrastructure in those smaller but fast-growing Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
But the real headline project here is this initiative called Growth Connectors. This is an incredibly ambitious plan for 7 brand-new high-speed rail corridors that will link up major economic hubs. Think Mumbai to Pune, Hyderabad to Bengaluru. The goal is to create a fast, efficient, and sustainable system that just shrinks the country and fuels growth.
But here's what's really important to understand about all of this. This isn't just growth at any cost. The budget makes it crystal clear that there's a dual focus, pairing this massive infrastructure build-out with a serious parallel investment in a green transition.
And this commitment isn't just talk. It's backed by serious cash. There's a new scheme for what's called Carbon Capture, Utilization and Storage, or CCUS, and it's being launched with an initial 20,000 crore rupees. That's about $2.4 billion US dollars. This is a big bet on pioneering sustainable technology for the future.
So let's step back. We've seen the big push for industry, the focus on people, and this massive plan to build out infrastructure. So what's the bottom line when you put it all together?
The budget actually uses this fantastic analogy to describe the sheer pace of all this change. India's Reform Express. It really captures the momentum of over 350 different economic reforms. Everything from simpler taxes to new labor laws that have basically laid the tracks for this budget to run on.
In the end, this budget really is built on those 3 pillars we talked about at the very beginning: action, people, and reform. And it really leaves us with a huge question to think about. Is this the blueprint that will truly launch India into its next great chapter as a developed nation?